Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I have started the recipes that I have, a couple of my peach recipes, because a friend of ours gave us these peaches, and I've already made a peach cobbler from them, and I'm going to use the last of the peaches. I thought maybe I'd have some extra, but because they're kind of faulty, since they're a homegrown, farm-grown peach, I'm going to use the rest of them for a peach crisp. And anytime I make a crisp, I like more of the crisp part than what the recipe necessarily calls for. So I actually reduced part of this recipe. It should go in a 9x13, but I reduced the fruit part to fit in my smaller casserole, which I've sprayed. So anyway, so I have my peaches, and to that I'm going to add a mixture of sugar. It's about a half cup of sugar and some cornstarch as a thickener, and then 2 tablespoons of flour. Mix this up. Now, I'm going to put this over my peaches, and then it has to set for about 30 minutes. When that's done setting so that the thickener and the sugars can dissolve and the thickener start working, I'm going to drain the juices off, but I'm going to reserve part of those. And the reason I'm doing that is because sometimes peaches get so juicy that it makes your crisp not so crisp. So I'm going to mix these and dump them over. Mix those in, just toss it to coat. And to that, I'm also going to add some lemon juice. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of lemon juice. And this will keep it from browning so much. And then I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to stir that. Make sure it's all well coated so the vanilla and the lemon juice is over the top of all those peaches. Otherwise, they will brown pretty quickly. So I'm going to set this aside and let that set, like I said, for the 30 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put together my crisp in another bowl. So in this bowl, I want to add the rest of the flour, and this is a cup of flour. And I have 2 cups of old-fashioned oatmeal. And I have 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. I have a tablespoon of cinnamon. I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to combine those. And I don't have to rush too much with this because I'm waiting for those peaches to sit. So I'm going to wait before I cut my butter into this so it doesn't dry out too much. But I will cut in a cup of butter with my pastry blender, and then that will go over the top of my peaches once they're ready to put in the pan. So I'll come back when I'm ready to drain those peaches off, reserve some of the liquid, and then finish up the crisp part. Our peaches have been sitting for the time that they needed for the juices to develop, and I did drain some of that off. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this in my sprayed pan. And you will have some juice, you just don't want so much that your peaches float. And I have put cut my butter up. It's 1 cup of butter. I cut it up into pats, and now I'm going to cut that into my topping mixture. And then this is going to go over the top. I'm going to sprinkle it over the top of my crisp. And then I'm going to bake it in a 350 oven, and it'll take probably about 45 minutes or so. It may take a little bit longer, but you can tell if it's done by, it'll be browned and bubbly. The crisp will on top, and the peach juice will be bubbling up. So you could put, even on top of the crisp part, you could also put in a 1/2 cup of chopped pecans if you want them. I'm just not going to, because if our grandkids come, they're not crazy about nuts. And so we'll omit them on this one. I like them in some of those things, and I'll go ahead and add them sometimes, but not always. So I'm going to continue to cut this in until it's all broken up. Put it over the top of my peaches. Put that in that 350 oven, and then let it bake for about 45 minutes or so, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. We have some peaches that we're trying to use up, and I've done some other recipes with peaches for the summer. We did some peaches Foster, and I did some peach ice cream, and but today I'm going to do a fresh peach dump cake, and I'm going to use up some of the rest of my white peaches and then some of my yellow peaches that I have, and it takes about 2 pounds, which comes out to be 5 or 6 peaches. If they're just a good sized peach like these are. So these I got from Sam's Club. You can get them from the orchard, wherever. I've sprayed my 9x13, and it's ready to go in a 350 oven when I'm done. So to the peaches, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup, or excuse me, a 1/3 cup of brown sugar. I could use white sugar, and if I did, I would need a 1/2 cup of it, but I like the flavor that brown sugar brings to the peaches. So I'm going to add a 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And I need to also put in there a tablespoon of cornstarch to act as my thickener. And I need some lemon juice, about a tablespoon of it, to keep the peaches from browning so much. I'm also going to add about a 1/2 to a teaspoon of vanilla just for flavor. It also would help with the browning process. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of cinnamon, up to a teaspoon, but I'm not going to add quite that much, about a 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm going to mix all those together. And then this is going to go as the bottom layer in my 9x13. These have been such good peaches this year. We had some that were farm grown from the area, and they were a little faulty. They had a good flavor and they were juicy, but orchard peaches, or these peaches from Sam's Club, have been really good. Okay, so I'm going to dump that into my 9x13. This is such an easy recipe. Okay. Then I'm going to, in another bowl, I'm going to take a bowl and something to stir with, and I'm going to take just a plain yellow cake mix. Let's see if I can keep the bag from falling out of there. And I've already melted a 1/2 cup or 1 stick of butter. And I'm going to mix that in until it's crumbly. And then this is going to go over the top of the peaches. And the only other thing I have to add is I've chopped up just a little over a 1/2 cup of pecans. And that's optional. If you don't like nuts or have somebody with a nut allergy or whatever, you wouldn't have to add the pecans. but it does add just a little more flavor, as well as some texture. Okay, so it's nice and crumbly. So now I'm going to put this over the top of my peaches. Between the butter and the juices from the peaches, this will absorb all that extra moisture. And then I'm just going to add on my pecans. Put this over so it's a little easier to see. And when I put this in the oven, it will take it about 40 minutes. But what I'm really going to do is I'm going to watch it to make sure as soon as it's turning golden and the peaches are bubbling up, then I know it's done. And that's peach dump cake. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.